Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the EGU podcast for awakening and emerging spiritual entrepreneurs. We bring global experts to you weekly, and we're here to help you thrive in energy, mindset, business, and all things spiritual. And today is no exception. We're here discussing soul streaming transformations, and I'd love to welcome and invite to the show Samaya Adelin. Hello, Samaya.
Hello, Michelle. It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thanks for staying up very, very late to join us today.
It's quite all right. I'm really used to it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, guys and girls, I'm going to invite you to grab yourselves a pen and paper and get nice and comfy and turn off your zings and pings and allow yourself to drop into this space with us for as long as it takes to deliver this beautiful and powerful message to you. Samaya is a soul streaming alchemy coach for high-end program creation. She assists clients to gain incredible clarity of their offerings and brand, helping them unearth and channel their soul-aligned gifts to nail their message and magnetize their tribe. Unapologetically, she's here to change the world, and I'm so excited to be sharing this space with you. Would you please, thank you, sweetheart, please share with us your journey and how this uncovered for you?
Absolutely. I'd be very happy to do so. So I guess the kind of incident or the kind of moment where there was a bit of a turning point, I have had, like most people, quite key turning points in life throughout my life. However, I think the latest one that was quite substantial was in November 2015. I became quite ill for a period of 5 weeks. I was bedridden in pretty intense pain. And when I mean intense pain, I've given birth naturally, but this was way more than that.
Wow.
You know, and as a mom, you would know, you know what that's like. But it was a period of intense pain around my ears, and what happened was I lost my hearing on both ears, and I was in a lot of pain. It was almost like a spiritual emergency, I guess you could call it, or a shamanic illness, where it was a gateway to something new for me. And I knew whilst this was happening, I had really high temperatures. I lost half my body weight. I mean, I couldn't even see my son. He went to stay at his dad's for the period of 5 weeks. And my friends had to look after me during that phase. Wow. And I guess what happened was, it's almost like, you know, I've lost my hearing. I was in pain. It's like spirit kind of created this kind of retreat for me. It's almost like I got into this kind of space of complete reflection and isolation through this pain, and this kind of state of emergency, if you like. And what happened was there was particular phases where the pain was really strong, and the third phase of that, which is very interesting because I associate the number 3 with the divine feminine, is the number of the divine feminine. I had this mystical experience where I entered into this conversation with this divine presence, with this divine being, with this voice, if you like, where I was told that, you know, Samaya, you've entered the gates of your soul. And whilst this was happening, I remember also I've actually went through the threshold of pain into this state of bliss. So there I was, crying and feeling completely stripped down to my core, like through all the kind of ego, through all the kind of hurts, through all of everything basically that I was keeping there as a barrier. All that was kind of completely down for that period of time. And I felt this in this state of extreme bliss and gratitude. And there was a little bit more communication that took place, and there was some visual stuff going on as well. And all I can say is that I knew as soon as I came out of that state in the middle of December that I just knew my life was going to be very different.
Wow.
I knew that I needed to let go of my work, my part-time work in human rights, And I knew that I needed to focus and stop postponing stepping into serving through my gifts.
You needed to step up.
Yeah. And it was Spirit's way of showing me that, Samaya, you've kind of lost your way a little bit. It's just a little bit of tweaking, just a bit of tweaking. You know, I still felt I lived quite purposefully, but it was that thing of like really needed to do it now. And it felt super clear. And the illness took away all the fear, took away everything that was holding me back from doing so.
Wow. It must have been a little bit frightening.
It was very frightening, and it was a very mixed experience, because on the same time, I was really feeling, I knew that I was feeling very grateful, and I knew this was Spirit wanting me to experience this as a way of going through those gates and really kind of saying yes to my purpose. So I already knew that, and I understood that on a spiritual level.
Yes.
I also became very grateful to see that I don't think I had realized there was a lot of love in my life. Like, I'm a single mom, and I've had some issues with my son's father that we hadn't fully resolved. We have a very old karmic relationship. We go back a long time, and we've had that consciousness around the dynamic being quite a complicated one, but we hadn't really fully healed that. And I think what that illness did was that, it showed me how much love there was. My dad, my son's dad, was fully there, supporting me in all the ways, giving me healing, doing everything that needed to be done. My friends were queuing up to helping me.
Oh, beautiful.
And I just felt like, oh my goodness, why? I honestly felt like I had no idea that I was loved so much. But like, to really get that on a deeper level, and it was really humbling for me, and I knew that I couldn't ignore that again.
Yes.
You know, yes. or not. I couldn't unsee that after that illness. So yes, it was scary, and on the same time, I knew there was something pretty special that was going on, and I see it now when I look back. It was an initiation. Illness in shamanism is seen as an initiation at times, and I know that was the shamanic illness that I needed to experience as a way of then stepping into my life in a more personable way, in a fuller way, in a more open-hearted way, with less baggage,
yes,
and with more of that sense of me saying yes, and with less fear.
And trust.
Absolutely. Trust actually became quite a significant thing for me, because that's when, you know, straight that month, I signed up. As I came out of this, it took me a year for my left ear's hearing to come fully back.
Wow.
But I could hear for most of the time. And I signed up straight away to Anthony Robbins' accreditation coaching program. I had already done my marketing and my business I got my qualification at university years and years previously.
Okay.
And obviously, the way we are now and the way we do as spiritual entrepreneurs and the way we show up in the world, certain ways and systems are not really necessarily as resonant anymore. The way we do marketing these days is just not the way it used to be done. So all that stuff was not relatable, but I had done a lot of work on myself. I was a meditation teacher, had been doing a lot of healing work, but I knew I still needed to step into my work in a more personable way, and in a way that really channeled my key energies, my key gifts, my soul energies that were really significant and that were really key in the way that I was meant to serve. And I guess I didn't really know exactly what those gifts were fully. So I needed to, that kind of moment really led me to create Soul Streaming Alchemy as an intuitive process. It was downloaded to me from Spirit. It was partly created by myself as a process of really understanding how to best channel my gifts in serving other people. Not knowing, of course, at the time that was going to be the way I was going to be serving other people. At the time, I didn't know that.
it's just beautiful the way things unfold, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Samaya, what an incredible journey. And you mentioned that you had a few hard times getting to there. Most of us on this spiritual journey have. We've come up against all sorts of very challenging and difficult situations in order to, I believe, prove that we're serious about this. We're serious about our own personal journey and evolution and ascension, in fact. So, I mean, and yeah, we could talk about stories all day long, but at the end of the day, they do mould our future if we choose to look at it like that, don't they?
Completely. And what you've just shared, Michelle, is really the premise of soul streaming alchemy. It's really that, when we look at who we are and how we are helping people and how we are showing up in our lives and how we are serving, it's not just a matter of looking at our CV or looking what skills we've accumulated through the work, the professional lives we've had. It's really looking at our whole lives and especially as spiritual beings, who have undergone a journey of transformation. That stuff is key. And has to be channeled in because it's such an essential part of the energy signature we carry as beings in the world and in the way we are here to serve others as well. So I think what you've just said is very much an integral part of the process of soul streaming alchemy as well.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I'm on the same page as you. That's beautiful. So how do you set about uncovering people's hidden gifts?
So I guess when I start working with a person, the key thing that we do in the first couple of sessions is really unearth and understand and then channel their soul's code into like bring it up into the surface before we decide what we do with it, before we understand how we're going to package that and how we're going to bring it into a beautiful offering that's really reflecting of their fullness as a multidimensional being, spiritual being on this planet. Really what we do is we need to understand their soul matrix and we need to understand all the key signature energies, the key soul streams that essentially are the makeup of your, of not just the human being that you are, but the spiritual being that you are. So within that, we are looking at your key gifts, and your characteristics and strengths and qualities that really make you as Michelle who you are. But we are really looking also at, your divine blueprints. We're looking at your soul's journey and the soul blueprints, if you like, because these kind of go beyond, your CV, beyond your skills and beyond your professional persona, if you like. So we need to look at something much more holistic. And we do so through the soul matrix, which is a profile that I create for each of my clients once I've taken them through the soul streaming alchemy process, which is the intuitive process I've put together.
Okay, cool. And so that will uncover the hidden gifts, their talents, obviously, and their energy signatures. So that's the initial step. This is exciting because so many people are lost. They are confused, they are sick, they are sad, and they have no idea how to fix that. And they know that there's more. That it
Absolutely.
Yeah, they know that in their soul, in their heart. They just know that, but really don't understand how to fix it, where to go, what to do. And I'm an energy healer myself. But you're taking this for me to a whole new level, which is really exciting. Because you're actually going and just chipping away further, right down to that soul level that is just craving to be understood, let's face it.
Absolutely. And like you said, I think a lot of people are craving for it, but unfortunately a lot of people haven't known how to go about unearthing those things. And I think that it's a real shame when there is, so much desire there for people to do so. When people are kind of feeling a bit lost in the process, it's a real shame for that not to come into light, just because people just don't really understand how to go about unearthing that. And I think it was through my strong desire to understand that for myself that led me to create this project. As I said, not knowing that it was going to be my process to work with other people.
Yeah. It's funny how things work out like that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've also got a strong hold on helping people understand and release their sabotage blocks.
Absolutely.
Now, this is huge.
It's huge. And also, I think partly because it's what the process showed me. So I was working as a healer on a part-time basis, but I knew, and then I was working on in the world, in the community, doing a lot of kind of work with women, vulnerable women, working in human rights. I worked in disabilities in the past, and then working with women who experienced abuse. And I loved the work. But what I found was that there was something that was I could not bring both of my loves together. I wanted to feel more integrated. And also, I don't know if you've experienced this yourself. I'm guessing you have, but the more you develop as a human being and the more you ground your spiritual understanding, and you become a little bit more spiritually, I guess, awake, what tends to happen is that you notice the limitations of the system that we live in and that we work within. We notice these things so much more.
Yeah.
And it came to a point where it became absolutely impossible for me to work with those limitations, even though I love the purpose of the work. I just felt like the limitations that were being imposed were making me ill. And I felt like I had to become smaller and smaller to serve a reality that was not my reality anymore. And it was not the reality in which I was choosing to serve. And that illness, my illness, kind of came as a breakthrough for me to kind of break open to this new reality that said, don't do this to yourself anymore. Go and serve in the way that that is comfortable to you. So there was that element that I couldn't anymore put up with the limitations that were just making me feel so uncomfortable and that I didn't believe in, that were not matching my reality.
Yeah, and I get that completely, because it hurts me too to just be out there and watching the system at play, and people are just numb, and it's not serving them. It's just keeping them stuck in their little box and keeping them in the dark.
Yeah, but that's why we're here to serve now, in a way, by bringing this new paradigm, because what we're doing is bringing this new reality, challenging the old reality.
Yes.
And also, in a way, for those who don't want to deal with that anymore, what we're doing is we're creating this new paradigm, and more people come and join this new paradigm. And in a way, that's creating the planetary shift. And we are not making ourselves more ill than necessary. But what happened in my process, just to explain with the sabotaging points, I've realized when I wanted to make that transition and integrate myself more, I knew that there was aspects of my gifts that I was suppressing, and it was to do that they were directly linked with my sabotaging points. So I grew up in a family that was very much business orientated. And my dad was a businessman, but kind of really, I guess, probably didn't spend enough time with his family, didn't really connect with us, and didn't know, he worked really hard. So I have a lot of respect for him for doing what he needed to do, at that generation as well. But I think there's on an unconscious level, and this is what my process showed me. I'm a really, I've got gifts when it comes to, that's what my professional life and my soul stream has shown me. I'm really quite gifted when it comes to creating systems that really help people flow. That's what my work has been about in the human rights, in all the charities I work for. I can really support people flow through creating simple yet effective systems where their key soul streams can be channeled in the best of their abilities. And what happened was that, but I was suppressing that aspect of me because they were so ingrained to, or so connected to my sabotaging points. So what happened was when I unearthed that, I was thinking, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm holding myself from becoming bigger and embracing more of myself in how I serve other people, because I just kind of haven't dealt with this, and I haven't kind of faced some of those sabotaging points. And that's where my experience as an energy worker came in.
Yes.
I've also done some extra training, which is particularly around activating certain, it's basically doing sacred activations and really activating our blueprints and releasing directly some of those sabotaging points.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget that your sabotaging points will be different than mine.
Of course. Yeah.
So the more directly we do that energy work in those sabotaging points, the more effective the clearing will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that aspect that we do the energy work, but it needs to kind of click on all levels, the mental level, the visceral level, the energetic and emotional and mental bodies as well. So I guess to me, the sabotaging points and unearthing those and then doing the clearing work was around realizing that I was holding myself back.
Wow.
And as much as I loved my energy signature as an energy healer, that was just one aspect of it. And I knew that there was more of me that needed to be channeled through, which is now perfectly doing so through my modality and the way I serve people. I feel that this has been the most personable way that I'm serving others. And I knew, because immediately as I launched it last summer, I had like 5 women wanting to work with me straight away with I didn't advertise. It was like, I need to do this with you and I need to do this now.
Yeah.
So it was pretty immediate. And I kind of felt that integration happening within me. And I felt like essentially Soul Streaming Alchemy is also about supporting other women, especially because, often we do hide from our gifts, right?
I think there's several reasons why we do that, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's also the fear of leaving those we love behind, perhaps, as we grow and evolve.
Nice. Great to see that. Great to realize that. It's quite powerful, that, isn't it?
Well, it's massive, because not everyone is evolving at the same time. Not everyone's awakening at the same time. And when we've spent, 20 years with someone, in some cases even longer, perhaps not quite as much, but when you look around you, that's your safety net, that's your catchment. And if you make that decision to go beyond where you are, you change. You have to change.
Absolutely.
Because
and how will the partner, and how will the people around us deal with that change, right?
That's right. And all of a sudden, and I speak very personally here, but all of a sudden, many conversations that you engage in, standing at the school gate or anywhere in the supermarket or whatever, suddenly they lose relevance, because it's all just so superficial. And you start to see people differently, and you start to empathize with them and wish that they could see more, because you know that there's so much more. But it's not our job to do that, is it? Our job's to do things like this so that we can help people understand that they can move from where they are, and they don't have to lose everything in order to do that. You can have it all.
Absolutely. And I like what you're mentioning about not having to lose things to enter into a more authentic understanding of ourselves, of shedding perhaps some of the surface kind of persona that we've taken on. And I feel that what I've realized was that the stronger I walked in my own path, and the more I embraced my reality and my understanding and my awakening, and became and shone my light, if you like, bright. I think that's the best way. I mean, it will challenge some people, but actually it's a good challenge. It's a challenge that is getting them to grow if they take that call. So in essence, really, I think for me, it became clear that I need to do it. I need to be myself. We need to shine our light. And actually that's the best thing you can do for everybody, because really the best you can do is inspire other people to be the same, do the same, and shed their own layers, if you like, to step into a more personable life for them, and way of being, and way of living in their own lives. And the worst that can happen is they get challenged.
Yeah.
But if they interpret that challenge as a negative thing, that's an interpretation. That's their interpretation. The intention is never that. The intention is always to just be that light, right?
Mm-hmm.
And shine that light bright. Yeah, so I guess, you know, to me, that feels quite an essential part of the process, and also part of the process of us basically owning our power and stepping into the reality we've chosen. Because playing it small, it's not serving anybody.
And most of all, not serving ourselves.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
hurts. It really does. It hurts at a very deep level when you are not shining, when you're not stepping up and challenging yourself. And you're coming up, you'll keep coming up against roadblocks, against hardship, against pain points, until you make that decision. It's like, okay, well, let's see who I am. Let's see what I've got.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because they're questions, those two questions are questions that many people in our everyday society have never ever asked themselves. They don't know who they are without all of the stories, the limiting beliefs, the people around them, the attachments, the stuff, you know, the bright, shiny objects that, you know, people just keep collecting, I guess, don't they? Without, and is it? Do you believe that is just to stay small?
I think it's a program that, you know, I think some people still keep on choosing. They keep choosing to live in that program, because the change that is to be had by you know, shifting things, shifting beliefs, and becoming someone different can be quite threatening for people. Like you said, you know, earlier, that it's very hard for people to the ripples it will send in their lives and the families around them. They not everybody's ready to deal with that.
No, it's kind of like coming out of the closet, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you do that, and a lot of people are saying that now, you know, coming out of their spiritual closet, you know, and most of us that are the forerunners in this movement are recognizing that we have been attuned with the divine for years and years and years and years. It just hasn't been encouraged for us to bring that out.
Until now, of course,
right.
It has changed as clearly as you know, and we've seen all around us, really. And I guess it's the reason why I chose to work more consciously with kind of intuitives, with creative people, with spiritual entrepreneurs, and people, I guess, who are kind of working perhaps more with as light workers.
Yeah.
I find that it was my personal choice, and it was a way of saying, you know what, I don't need to make my life so hard all the time. I don't need to keep creating that bridge of like really trying to merge the 3D with the 5-dimensional reality. You know, it's okay to want to work with people, but then doing so in a way that is about grounding that.
Yes.
Because, you know, I've lived in my 20s in a Buddhist spiritual community, and that was an incredible experience for me, and it really served me really well. But, you know, I think that I think anyone can hide from the gifts to some extent. Sometimes we're too close to see what we have and who we are. So we need that support. And I guess in some ways, some people also, we're kind of a little bit scared, like we were talking about, you know, to really own that, who we are. And I guess one of the things I wanted to do with Soul Streaming Alchemy is to really lay everything out in the open, really unearth those things. And only just to say that I'm a guide, and I hold powerful space. And as I said, I create good systems. but I don't feel I'm in any position to tell anybody as a coach who they are. I think their soul, because in my case, my soul has been my best teacher. And for me, a person's soul can really show them who they are. I can't really meet up with somebody and say to them how to run their business and how to do these things. So the process, that is quite an in-depth process, helps them kind of bring all those elements up in the surface. And then we go into a conversation and have another structure where I kind of guide them in channeling those energies and those gifts and those blueprints.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I often find with people is that they in more standard, I guess, coaching, you would find that when you work with the coaches, I mean, I've never worked with a standard coach, to be honest. So, but I know they exist. Is that you probably get a very kind of a very kind of maybe particular approach where the coach will kind of guide you through something, and you get to think about your ideas and what you need to do as a program, and it's a bit of an outside-in process.
Yeah.
It's an inside-out process, right? You need to get in touch with that stuff before you kind of get a grasp on how you're going to be serving.
Yeah, exactly. Leading from the head, not the heart.
Exactly. And I guess so that's what I kind of wanted the process to be, but a process that still kind of it makes sense and it's clear. And I find often with the kind of, I guess, people often ignore the sabotaging points. So they kind of go on to create stuff and they don't know how to perhaps clear some of the blocks that will bring more of themselves in, but also the blocks that will be much more magnetizing when communicating a message. So you know that expressing our vulnerability to our tribe is quite an essential thing to create connection, right? It's not just about ego, and it's not about how amazingly successful and great we are in life. It's about the journey that we've undertaken. So once you unearth that first to yourself, then it's much more easy to create connection with people on the basis of what has been your sabotaging life. And often what I found when working with people is that it's great to come up with the ideas, but often people would ignore the difficult stuff, but then they would ignore the really amazing, the higher elements of their experience, the divine blueprints, as I call them. So it was just, the system was all about really integrating a combination of your really human being qualities, your skills, all that you know as a human being, with the kind of more hidden, esoteric, and more, I guess, spiritual gifts, with our shadow qualities, our resistances, our sabotages, all that kind of stuff, and really then playing with all that in a way that is much more integrative, much more powerful and holistic in the way then we can choose and step into serving others.
Beautiful. Absolutely love it. I love the wholeness of what you do. There's nothing left out. It's really ground in, and it's completely expansive.
Yes.
Congratulations, Samaya.
Thank you so much.
What a journey.
Thank you so much. Well, it has been a journey, and I guess, but this is what I'm really grateful for. All the obstacles in my life and the journey, the good stuff and the challenging stuff and all the flavors in between, in a way have been indicators of how I needed to move forward. And they've been portals to leading me and everyone's life. They and events, they are portals to leading us into being and serving in the way we are to serve. And within that, there's a karmic reality and a karmic history to who we are and to our soul's journey that has led us to be and do as we do these days. And we need to bring that in. So we need to bring the fullness of our experience.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Bring it on, I say. Absolutely. Let the party begin. Life is a journey that should be celebrated every moment of the way. And once you take that step, it's so exciting, and things just start. And we talk about magic and synchronicities and all those sorts of things. And now when you get that flow of life, it truly does change everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. And equally to really honor the difficult parts, when we haven't been in flow, because my period of 2012 to 2014, there was no flow there for me. It was one difficulty after the other. And again, there has to be that sense that it will shift and it will move if we keep on showing up and in a way dealing with the karma that comes our way, clearing the karma that comes our way, and just facing the music, I guess. So for me, that was something that was kind of quite fundamental to, I guess, there was that period of losing innocence, if you like, to stepping into in a more real way into my life. And I do honestly believe, and I know you know that as a healer, Michelle, that, unless we do all that, and unless we are kind of willing to face all that, we will not really be fully ready to support our clients to have their own deep transformations.
True.
How am I going to hold powerful space for somebody if I haven't gone through and faced my own self?
Yeah.
Which I'm continuously doing. It's not an end. But and really dealt with my own life's upheavals and the stuff that has come my way.
I agree completely. And I feel that that's why there are varying levels of energy workers, spiritual healers available to people. They will present to you at where you're at. So the right person, if you're ready and open, will come. The divine messengers, sometimes you just can't ignore things, or you just keep getting hit on the back of the head, don't you? It's like
absolutely. And of course, everybody wants to have their teacher show up in this beautiful as a beautiful blessing, as a beautiful life opportunity and synchronicity. Of course, often teachers come in really hard disguises.
Yeah,
right?
so true.
They come in disguises that we don't want, and again, that's coming back to me in the romantic aspect of spirituality. It's great to meditate and have these experiences, but when I was pregnant 5 months, and I had 2 days to find a home, and nobody would house me. I could not get a house, and it was really hard. I was in a new town, and I didn't have any friends, and I had just got this new job, but I just that was it. It was like, I had to make it work. And I knew that I was going to go through the other side. I didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, but I knew that I had to just kind of deal with it. And the way those experiences at the time shaped me and the way I showed up, I think that they've definitely shaped me in a really positive way. It really showed me my capacity to dive deep into, I guess, dealing with my own life's material and to facing what I needed to face. And, I had to surrender to the fact that, I asked for miracles. I asked for help from the universe. And there's something really beautiful about that moment when suddenly you're just completely in that mercy of a miracle. I'm saying beautiful because I can see it on the other side.
Yes.
Obviously, it's difficult at the time, but it's almost like there's something when, those spiritual teachings really kind of, actually, that's when shit gets real, excuse my French. You know what I mean? When things happen and you're thinking, this is me now understanding how this stuff works.
Yes.
Not when my life is in flow, but when it's not, and when I really need a miracle and when somebody to help me.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Things would happen and I could move through and I would get the support. And so there was always kind of something that was kind of a new door would open up and I would go into the next thing, I guess, and I would do it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and there's been a time in my journey, a lot of the time, where it was hard. I knew I wanted to do all these wonderful things, but we'd lost everything. We lost our home. We lost everything. Our business collapsed. I was incredibly unwell. My husband had cancer. My mum had cancer. It was, yeah, there was so many things going on. And
that's pretty epic, Michelle. When was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, my mum passed in November last year.
I remember that.
Yeah. And prior to that, 2 years prior to that was when we lost our home and everything turned to shit, pardon my French. But in all of that, I had to do it the hard way because I had no money to pay spiritual leaders. I had all I knew, and I'm going to get emotional here, was that there had to be another way. It had to be easier. I was missing something. And the truth was I was missing me. My heart was closed. My head was so noisy and busy, and I was really, really not nice to myself, the way I talked to myself, the way I was treating myself, my body, my everything. And it came to the point where I had to look really hard within, and I had to build a relationship with myself.
Wow. So that's pretty powerful story. That's a pretty powerful story. Do you think that you finding more of yourself, or rather, let me put it like this, you losing all that stuff that you've lost, almost losing your home, your possessions and all that, was a sacrifice that needed to happen as a way of finding yourself?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, having children as well, they learnt the lessons the hard way as well, because they went from private school kids to public school kids to having a home in a beautiful street and the swimming pool and the life, to renting, and we were literally living from hand to mouth. But it's taught them many lessons as well. They look at things in shops now and they question, do I really need that, or do I just want it? And they'll leave it there rather than just having a cupboard full of clothes. But what does that matter? It matters. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is that my kids now look at other people sitting there homeless and give them money or buy them a cup of coffee or a lunch. That matters more to me than having all of the bright, shiny objects, you know?
So it's like you've refound, your family has kind of reconnected with the value and the true essence of things, and the value as opposed to, what you can afford. It's more like really knowing what the value of something is.
Completely. And Samaya, the very reason why I created my group came to me through a meditation. The name of the group was as crystal clear as written on top of a mountain. And it was just like, Michelle, you've got to help people through this. Mm-hmm. And I've always been an entrepreneur. I can't work for anyone else. I don't do that well. I try to change their systems to fit mine. I just doesn't work. So,
absolutely.
And I knew I couldn't do it on my own. And that's why I have these conversations with people like you. You know, together we can raise the collective consciousness. I can't or don't want to do it on my own. We're not here to do it the hard way anymore.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I find it also interesting. Thank you for sharing this, because that's quite a powerful story, actually. And I also find it very interesting that for you, just like me, it did happen post 2012, you know, that kind of new transition into 5D. I think that I was talking with a bunch of women who are equally working in, I guess, as light workers and bringing the work into the world. And we were talking about how, in a way, you know, unfortunately through the hard way at times, but it's like, because there's such a big shift that's happening. It's almost like certain systems and things that we had created and ways of doing things had to collapse, and unfortunately collapsed in a really difficult and challenging way. But a friend was saying how, Antonina, she was saying how actually this, all the stuff that happens to us are actually not to us, but they are for us.
Yes.
Happening for us and for our, that really stuck with me, happening for our awakening and for us shifting into
our truth.
Our truth, absolutely.
Yeah. It's hard to see that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to see that at the time.
What helped you, Michelle, at the time and during that time? What was it that kept you going? I'm really intrigued in this.
I was blessed that I had people stepping up to offer support. I just Googled everything I could learn about the brain, the mind, how to still it, how to control it, because my mind was out of control. I was living in my head, and I knew that I had to get into my heart. And I didn't know how to do that. I really didn't. So I prayed. I became a member of the Salvation Army Church.
Yeah.
That helped me enormously. I discovered what God was, because I didn't have a religious upbringing, and I'm still on the fence whether I'm religious or spiritual or what. I don't know, but I had no beliefs. I had no foundations. Whereas now I do. And I've always, prior to that all happening, I was a remedial massage therapist. I've done massage and healing, a Reiki master, all those sorts of things, but they just left my life. I'd allowed it to, obviously, but yeah, it's such a dark time for me that I actually even collapsed my memories. There was so much that I just don't even remember.
Wow! So you get reset on the memory level. That's incredible, isn't it? How powerful that is.
I know. So,
but I don't see that as a bad thing, to be honest. I feel that that's, clearly you don't need to be carrying all the trauma and all the difficulty from that. Clearly you have to kind of reset.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's funny because, as you say, what we're needing to be doing is laid out before us, and it's just now unpacking it all, and like you said before, stepping up, and I'm being encouraged and invited to step up massively. But that comes with I've got a massive knot in my solar plexus just talking to you about it,
Yeah.
It's every level we take just requires us to be more confident, more trusting, more vulnerable, more all of those things that are not comfortable. That's why they call it a comfort zone. You can stay there in it if you like, but that's not where you need to be to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in a way, that's why the work you do as a healer as well is so important. Like you were just sharing, you've had this solar plexus knot and all that stuff and stepping into our purpose, stepping into the more authentic and truthful life that we need to live. In a way, we need to deal with all that stuff, all the stuff, the chakras, the body, the mind, the emotions. We need to work with all that stuff and keep on showing up when the fear
when it grips us.
Deal with it. Right. So it's a great reminder why, I guess, and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring, I couldn't imagine not bringing energy work into the work. I just feel like it's impossible. It has to, again, it's one of my key soul streams anyway, and part of my energy signature, being a healer, but it's just such an essential part of the journey as a spiritual being, kind of trying to live from the heart.
That's right. And look, and one of the true privileges of the work I do is explaining and helping people understand how the world works with energy. and just it's just an education, and it's just beautiful when they get it, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And then little bits just start to click into place for them. It's just beautiful.
What energy work is it? What energy you do?
I feel in my body where their blocks are.
Wow. Okay.
And then we just bring
working.
we bring breath, and we bring light, and we bring awareness and love, and we release it. It's beautiful. It's really, really simple.
I love the simplicity of that, actually. We overcomplicate things sometimes, and need to go back to the simplicity of what's available to us.
Absolutely. So we've gone completely onto me and not you. So thank you for holding that space for me. That was beautiful.
No, it felt really lovely, actually, and it's really good getting to know a little bit more about you. And I feel you've really been sharing very genuinely, which is great.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Samaya, how can people understand your program in a nutshell and work with you?
Yeah. So I guess they can easily contact me via a message or in any way they want through social media, I guess. But I guess in terms of the work that we do together is I would ask them a few questions first to understand more about where they're at, because although the system really can help you nail your bigger picture and your life purpose, and even if you don't have a business, but you unearth all those kind of basic and important things, I do specialize in working with people who want to understand how they can channel those energies into offerings and create their businesses. So I guess the first thing how we would start is that I would pass over to them once they make an investment and they make that commitment to working together. They would basically receive the formula, Soul Streaming Alchemy, and they go through this process, which won't always make sense to them, because only after we have a session together, some of the aspects would make sense, or pretty much all of it. And then we have our first session, which is pretty much anything between 2 and 3 hours. It can't be less than that, because it's such a deep process to understand their soul matrix. So they go through the process. They have a period of a week or 2 weeks, however long they need. I then, with the results, create their soul matrix, which is a process that takes me anything from an hour to an hour and a half. And I love it.
I can tell.
I just getting insight into people's soul matrices, you understand so much about the soul of a person and also the collective soul as well. There's so many similarities. And that's a beautiful thing to see that. And I'm really honored to be part of that journey. But basically then we work in a period of 8 weeks. The program is actually 3 phases, but people can either do 1 phase or 2 phases or 3 phases. It depends on them. But the first phase is absolutely essential, which is 8 weeks together. We create your soul matrix. We really unearth all those key qualities. We do the energy work to activate the gifts, release the sabotaging points, and then I take them through the process of understanding themselves and how they can channel those energies into a program. Yeah. We'll do some kind of. I also do embrace some of the more mainstream processes, like doing a little bit of research and all that. But, we do them in a very specific way that serves spiritual entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So we don't just get stuck we don't get stuck in the mainstream stuff. The processing itself is so in depth, and just along with the information that they get from the soul matrix, that can take them for like years of their business and their life to understand how they need to do relationships, how they are serving the clients, what message is predominant message, and what their clients and their soul tribe is essentially going to them for.
Yes.
And the second phase is more about branding, and the third phase is more about marketing, and really channeling soul streaming alchemy and the soul streams in really clarifying the brand. But the first phase does that anyway, but we go so much more in depth into the second phase.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I will put all your links into the show notes, but just for anyone listening, could you let us know your website, please, Samaya?
Absolutely. The website is samayadelin.com. It's in the process of being recreated. I'm kind of branding myself since doing my soul streaming alchemy.
Yeah.
I'm sort of rebranding it. And actually the name soul streaming alchemy came completely from the modality. The modality gives you so specific information about the things to blog about, to write about, to the name of your program. Incredible level of detail.
Yeah.
And also to say that a beautiful way for people, for women particularly, to connect is through my Facebook group if they want to.
Yeah.
Because they get a lot of support from that. And it's a way of getting introduced to me a little bit more if they wanted to know more about.
And the name of your Facebook group?
It's called Soul Streaming Alchemists.
Yeah.
And Fearless Legacy Creators.
Fantastic. I'll get you to shoot me the link to that too, and I'll pop that in the show notes for everybody.
Thank you so much. And one thing to share, if that's okay with you, is that in November, I'll be launching my 6-month Soul Streaming Alchemy Academy.
Wow.
So that will be particularly for women who want to really work in a group context with other women. And really, we're going to go deep into our soul matrices and do all things business and energy related. So there's going to be a lot of group work and obviously program creation, creating all your systems, marketing the works.
Oh, sounds wonderful. And that's a 6-month program beginning in November.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. And do you mind asking the cost of that program?
At the moment, I'm thinking it's going to be around £1,800 for the 6 months, which I think is a very reasonable price. It's going to be an early bird for people who are interested. There's going to be a 1,600, which I'm not sure what it is exactly in dollars. And just to say that at the moment, I do have, for a limited time only, my one-to-one is pretty affordable. I really want to serve as many people as possible. And I really want, I guess, women who feel the calling. I work on a one-to-one with women and men who feel the calling to kind of dive deeper into the soul matrix and really unearth the way to run their businesses and create the programs. I really want people to just, feel that they can work with me.
Yeah, beautiful.
So they can get in touch and we can have a chat and all that.
I have a funny feeling that would be a great opportunity for anyone to take up before you get too busy, because there's only one of you, and you won't be able to offer that one-on-one work forever. So, folks, if you have got the goosebumps, the tingles, the excitement, if you are feeling that Samaya is the right guide for you, then look into the show notes and shoot her a message and connect. She's, as you know, a divine soul and truly here to serve, one of God's beautiful gifts. And I just want to thank you so deeply for your time.
Oh, you've been so lovely, Michelle. Honestly, it's been so nice sharing with you in this space. I feel you're such a genuine woman, and I feel you're serving so beautifully through your group and through your work. And it's just felt really lovely, and I feel really moved to have connected with you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you. So with that being said, I haven't even looked at the time. I don't know how long we've gone for, but you can find Samaya in the links below. Also, if you feel called to join our group, please do so. You'll find us both in there. We love playing in there. And you'll also find me at Mindset Energy and Healing Transformations.com. And that's it from us, folks, for today. But I will just strongly urge you, if you can, to speed up your journey and do it the easier way rather than the harder way. Connect with someone that you resonate with and allow them to shortcut, if you can, the process just a little. You're still going to have to do your own work. There's no shortcuts in that area, but you can choose an easier way rather than a hard way, and make sure that you make those decisions from your heart and listen to your calling and find your way. And if we can help you on that journey in any way, shape or form, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We truly are all in this together.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Samaya. And
thank you so much.
To our beautiful listeners, I, as always, encourage you to shine bright. That is why you're here. And we will see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.